Welcome to All Pro Football Data. My name is Jim Coburn. In today's episode, we're talking about top 10 wide receivers in the 2025 NFL draft class based on data. So, in today's episode, we'll be looking at who the top 10 are based on data, which is production and other statistical factors to construct this list. Stay tuned into the end of the video where I reveal the number one wide receiver prospect in the 2025 NFL draft class based on data. But with all this stuff out of the way, let's get to the show. So, first off, before we get to the final top 10 list, I did want to talk about some honorable mentions. So, these are wide receivers that didn't make the top 10, but based on their data, they could end up in the top 10 if they have a better season this year and other players kind of go down a little bit. But these are the other players that didn't make the top 10, but definitely are worthy of consideration of watching their film. Eric Singleton from Georgia Tech, Darius Cooper from Tarleton, Chris Mitchell from Florida International, Mumpfield from Pittsburgh, Jay Macklin from North Texas, Jordan Moore from Duke, Ricky White from UNLV, and Dorian Singer from Utah by way of USC. So these are all the wide receivers that I think you guys definitely should check out that are honorable mentions that could be decent NFL starters at the next level based on their overall data profiles. But they didn't make the top 10. So let's get to number 10. So number 10 on this list is Lewis Bond from Boston College. The data charts you can see right here kind of show you his overall data. If you want to learn more about his data, go to the description box below in the glossary link. It'll kind of show you the definitions of everything. But his biggest pros, or why he's number 10 on this list, the biggest thing is really his age. And he has a solid baseline of production. His overall statistics are not the best. So, like his situational statistics are subpar in addition to his conversion rate status, but his age makes it look like there is potential for upside. So, he produced at a level at his age that makes him somebody who potentially could improve a lot next year and kind of really blow up. So that's kind of the logic behind it, at least in terms of data. Now, when you get to his offensive market share production scores, taking a look right here, his touchdown market share is much more impressive than his receiving market share or his total offensive market share, which a lot of times that total offensive market share is indicative of an offense that mainly rushes the football more often than throws the football. So that's kind of what that data really shows. When you look at his efficiency scores, his efficiency wasn't the best. He did really good in terms of touchdown percentage, not so much in terms of yards per reception, but I think a lot of that may have to do with the offense that he's in. So there could be some things that improved this year at Boston College. Then when you look at his adjusted production, so again, this takes a look at his age, his MSA rating, and his pass rating. His age is by far the biggest thing that really is pushing him into the top 10. Because MSA rating is not the best. His pass rating is not the best, but his age definitely puts him within striking points of like a starter average or even a Pro Bowl average. So he definitely needs to improve his overall production, but he's somebody that, based on how he produced for his age, he could be somebody that could really break out this year in a major way. And if he improves any of his production numbers, which based on how poorly he did, he definitely could do that, he could be definitely in the list. Now, when you get to situational statistics, this is the biggest thing he really needs to improve. So his overall situational statistics, which this is data from 2009 to 2023 from QB stat, collegefootballstats.com, which is cfbstats.com. Taking a look at his data here, as you can see, his receptions, his yards, his average data, TDs, long data, etc., is not exactly where you want it to be. He did have a good TD percentage again, and that's a big thing that's really helping him out. But again, all the other areas are definitely things of improvement. And then when you get to his conversion rates, his second down conversion rate was within range of what is expected for a starting NFL wide receiver, which is a 90 to 99.99 percentile wide receiver. But his first down conversion rate and third down conversion rate also are not exactly where they need to be. So these are the biggest things he really needs to improve on. And if he does, I think he definitely could be a name to watch for next year. Getting to number 9 on this list, I know you guys might be wondering, why is he so low? But again, based on data, I'll kind of explain it. So Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State. So his overall production is solid base of production and strength of schedule data. That's the only thing, though, that's holding him up, because when you look at his overall data, it's not that impressive. He doesn't really have any 80 percentile production scores or 90 percentile production scores for that matter in any of his data. And that's an issue. That's a concern. Does not have elite production traits for anything, but he's still number 9 on this list because of that baseline of production. And he did have kind of a down season last year, so maybe this year he kind of improved. So again, there's still hope on him. He definitely is one of those wide receivers that could be in the top 5 conversation. But so far, his resume has not been living up to those expectations. Taking a look at his production, as you can see here, not really near the starter averages, the Pro Bowl averages, the All Pro averages, but definitely within striking distance and could be within the threshold, if you will, for that stat. Taking a look at efficiency scores, efficiency was decent, not great. Taking a look at adjusted production, his MSA rating, pass rating are the biggest things that really hold him up. His age, he's a little bit older now. Probably should have broke out sooner. And I know Marvin Harrison Jr. is there, but again, he probably should have broke out a little bit sooner. But this is sort of what his data says about that. Now, when you get to his situational statistics, there's issues here as well. When you look at his overall receptions, yardage, all that kind of stuff, not where you want it to be, which kind of reflects it in terms of his market share data. And when you get to his conversion rates, his third down conversion rate was not ideal, but first and second down is solid. So I think if he improves in his third down area, I think he's definitely somebody that could bump up into the top 5s in terms of data this year. Then you get to number 8 on this list, which is an interesting name, and Kelly Akharyi. Probably not saying that correctly, 100%, but he had great overall data at University of Texas, El Paso. So his data, 80 percentile in terms of all of his production traits, but his level of competition is probably the biggest concern. But he will be able to prove himself in the SEC. So he transferred to Mississippi State. So that's going to be something to watch. Now some of these transfers get exposed. So the one thing I like about NIL transfers, or just transfers in general, is that you get to see a guy who played against lesser competition and see what that means when he translates to an actual top 5 football team. I like it. I like that stuff. I really like to see that stuff because that kind of gives you an idea of maybe how to do some adjustments in the future for guys who play really well at lesser competition. But this will be a big season for him. And based on his data, I mean, everything is where you want it to be in terms of his efficiency, except for maybe his TD percentage, but yards per reception is very good. And then when you get to adjusted production, his age is a big question mark. But the biggest thing realistically is strength of competition. So he will have a chance to improve his numbers, do really well this year. And if he does, all these numbers are definitely going to go up if he does have a really good season this year. If he doesn't have a good season, if he becomes guys like Isaiah Nayor, who's another wide receiver we're going to talk about later on in this list, a guy that kind of transferred and then kind of didn't break out. He's kind of an old maid, as they say, so a person who hasn't popped yet and he's older. That's kind of what he's looking like right now. Hopefully, he doesn't become that. Again, he has an opportunity this year to really do that, but that's definitely a concern. When you look at his situational statistics, again, all these numbers are pretty solid for him across the board, with the exception of maybe first downs. It's kind of an issue for him, but everything else is pretty solid. When you get to his first down conversion rates, third down is the biggest area where he needs to improve, but first down and second down are definitely right where he needs to be. So this is going to be something to really see what he does this year. But if he translates, if he really does well at Mississippi State, he's a name to definitely pay attention to because he could creep into the top 5 very easily if he does really well at the SEC. Then we get to number 7 on this list, which is a name probably some of you guys aren't too familiar with, but it's Ali Jennings from Virginia Tech. Now, his overall data, again, solid baseline production overall. Age and level of competition kind of limit his upside because most of his production was kind of at Old Dominion and Virginia Tech, which, again, are not the strongest teams ever in college football. But his overall data, again, is solid. That's the biggest thing that really pushes him up is his solid overall data. Efficiency is also fantastic for him. And then when you get to adjusted production, age is the biggest thing that kind of handicaps him as a prospect. But I think if he does really well at Virginia Tech this year, again, another year there, then there could be some buzz about him. He definitely could be within the top 10. His overall NFL potential, it's a little iffy when you get with guys that are that old, but I think if he really shows up this year, he could be somebody to watch. And again, his touchdown production is fantastic. It's flawless, and that's something that I think more teams really need to pay attention to, honestly. Now, when you get to his situational statistics here, again, all the plays, everything pretty much is within range of what you want it to be. And then when you get to first down conversion rates, third down is the biggest area I think he needs to improve upon. But first down and second down are solid thus far. So that's the only thing. His third down conversion rate is the only thing that I think really needs to improve with Ollie Jennings, based on his conversion rate. Then, of course, we get to number 6 in this list, which is Torrey Horton from Colorado State. His overall data is here as well. A similar situation to a lot of guys that I mentioned in the top 10. Really great production, but level of competition and efficiency scores are not that elite for him. So when you look at his data here, 90 plus percentile in terms of the big three numbers, in terms of receiving, total offensive market share, and touchdown market share. All those numbers are fantastic for him. But when you get to efficiency, not so much. Not the most efficient wide receiver out the gate. May have been overused. May have been overused. When you get to in the 90 plus percentile range, you're probably going to have an inverse relationship with efficiency sometimes. That's something I probably want to do some more, data work into. But that definitely is something to look in there. When you get to adjusted production, his age, definitely older, and strength of competition and strength of team are the biggest thing that really hold him back in terms of his data. Now, when you get to his situational statistics, so this is really good. In terms of situational statistics, everything is fantastic except for his TD percentage, his first down percentage, his 50-yard plus percentage, and 25-yard plus percentage, which again comes back to his efficiency. Efficiency is the biggest thing that really hurts him as a wide receiver prospect, despite the fact that he has buku amounts of production with him. Now, when you get to his conversion rates, though, his conversion rates have been solid. First down is the biggest area I think he really needs to improve upon. That is by far the heaviest uh, area in terms of wide receivers. So most opportunities for first down for conversion rates are really going to be on first down. That's you're offense is going to play more first downs than second downs or third downs. It's just basic math, really. And then second down and third down are little things. So his efficiency on second and third down are good, but first down I think definitely needs to improve because that might be what's stemming from a lot of his issues in terms of efficiency. It could speak to offensive design though. So if they do a lot of screens and stuff on first down, little short plays, that might have something to do with that. But that's definitely something to kind of pay attention to. Then we get to number 5 in this list, which is a guy I mentioned earlier, which is Isaiah Nayor from Nebraska, who also was at Texas, who was also at another team. A guy that, production-wise was fantastic. His 2021 season was really good. And then he went to Texas, had a lot more competition in terms of, Xavier Worthy and the Colts draft pick, of course, kind of Adonai Mitchell. And then not much there. So he's transferring to Nebraska. He'll get another chance to hopefully start this year and put in some production and play against better competition to kind of see what he is. But again, great all around production. We're not forgetting about that 2021 season because there are definitely examples in the data of players who had a really good one season and then kind of fell off a little bit who might actually become good at the NFL level. There are some examples of that. But when you look at his data here, total offensive market share, the only area that really is not the best. And again, that speaks more to the offense. More of a run-heavy offense is typically what that is indicative of. But his touchdown data and everything else was great. Again, this was not at Texas. This was at lesser competition, which is why it says low. Efficiency was fantastic. His age, MSA rating, pass rating, all are a little off because of the level of competition and because of his age. Those are the biggest things that play into those scores of MSA and pass. So those are kind of the things there. Situational statistic wise, decent, pretty decent for him. But again, this wasn't at Texas. And then conversion rate wise, solid across the board for him in terms of his conversion rate here. So this is Isaiah Nayor. I mean, again, this is another season. If he doesn't really show much or improve this year, he might be off my draft board, to be honest, because there are a lot of players where this is not exactly where you want it to be based on data. So that's definitely something to kind of keep track of and pay attention to in terms of his data. And with number 4 in this list, we have Daniel Jackson from Minnesota. His overall pros, elite receiving and touchdown market share. Efficiency is not the best, but it could improve. He's someone that I think a lot of people should be talking about more about. But when you get to his data, again, great numbers in terms of the big three, which is receiving market share, touchdown market share. All those numbers are fantastic. Efficiency wise, not the best. Average in terms of his, yards per reception and touchdowns per touch is slightly above average, but those are big things that I think he really needs to improve upon. When you take a look at his adjusted production, age-wise is decent. His MSA rating is okay. His pass rating is 82 percentile. But again, these are all numbers that I think can improve this season if he improves his overall efficiency. To getting to his situational statistics, all those numbers are great for him for the most part. And then when you get to his conversion rate, second down and third down are by far the biggest areas I think he really needs to improve upon in terms of his conversion rates. So again, improving on second and third down, those are going to be the big things I think he really needs to improve upon in terms of his efficiency. And if he does, I think this will really help his numbers out. Now, when you get to number 3 on this list, we finally get to McMillian from Arizona. His overall data is great, great age and overall production for his level of competition. Efficiency scores could be better. So I understand there's a lot of people who have him as the number one wide receiver in this class, and I can't blame you. Great size wide receiver to a lot of people. But when you get to his production, solid numbers across the board. Touchdown market share could be better. Receiving market share could be better. Taking a look at his efficiency scores, this is the biggest area where he needs to really improve. Is his yards per reception and touchdowns per touch are numbers that really need to improve for him. When you get to adjusted production, age, MSA rating, pass rating, all those areas are fantastic, which is why he's number 3 on this list. But when you get to situational statistics, his TD percentage, another big thing that's really holding him back. His longest plays, even, he's in the 32 percentile in terms of his longest plays as a player, which brings into some concerns about speed. And then when you get to his conversion rate, second down is the biggest area I think he really needs to improve upon. So first down is solid. Third down is really good, actually, 86 percentile in terms of his third down conversion rate. But second down is a number I think he really needs to help and bump up. And I think if he does bump up the second down conversion rate, I think it'll help his overall efficiency. But solid numbers, a guy that could easily be the top wide receiver next season, but definitely has some room for improvement in his numbers. Then when you get to number 2 in this list, this is another wide receiver that some people have as the top wide receiver in this next draft class. This is Luther Burden III from Missouri. So great age and adjusted production. Biggest cons, low TD percentage and first down conversion rates on all downs is not ideal. So taking a look at his data here, touchdown percentage is not where you want it to be, but his receiving and total offensive market share numbers are where they need to be. His efficiency scores are below average in terms of not yards per reception, but TD percentage is the biggest thing where he's not really getting it done as a player. When you get to adjusted production, hits all the numbers you're looking for in terms of adjusted production, which is his production measured against his level of competition and the strength of the team and all the other kind of stuff. But his situational statistics are concerning when it comes to first down, conversion rate, and those other sort of things for him. And TD percentage, those are big things that really need to improve. And then when you get to his conversion rates by down and distance, this is the scary numbers here. 6.67 in terms of first down conversion rate, 28 in terms of second down, and then 10 in terms of third down. So his conversion rates on in terms of those areas are not where they need to be. Some of this can have to do with the quarterback he has, but again, these are numbers that definitely need to improve for him this year. Otherwise, there will be some concerns in terms of his future data. Then number 1 on this list, a guy that I know a lot of people probably aren't even talking about, a guy that some people may be familiar with or not, but it's Illik Ayominor from Stanford. Now, he is a redshirt sophomore, okay, so he is draft eligible. Not a lot of people think he's going to come out this year, but the thing is, he had such a great redshirt freshman season that I just have to have him on this list because when you take a look at all of his data combined, he was fantastic. So great age and adjusted production traits for him here. Um, Getting to his, receiving market share, total offensive market share, touchdown market share, all those numbers are fantastic for him. Looking at efficiency, so his yards per reception is fantastic. His TD percentage could use improvement. And then when you get to his adjusted production, fantastic. His age score, his MSA rating, his pass rating, all these numbers are exactly where you want it to be. And then, of course, you have his situational statistics, which do have some room for improvement. So, again, I'm not trying to say he's a perfect prospect, but definitely has some solid numbers here and there, but definitely has some areas where he can improve. And then when you look at his conversion rates, second down and third down are areas where I think he really needs to improve as a player. But overall, the 2025 NFL draft class in terms of wide receivers looks very strong. I think it's shaping up to be another strong year for wide receivers with 90 plus percentile data wide receivers who were the top four, and then 4 who hit 80 percentile range who were the 5 through 8 range. And then that doesn't even include wide receivers that have not yet emerged this season. So kind of like Xavier Legette. Xavier Legette was not a wide receiver that people would consider to be a top 10 wide receiver last year, coming into 2023. And then he made himself into that. So there's a lot more wide receivers that haven't even broken out yet. So this is definitely a solid overall group of wide receivers that I think are going to be solid in the future. Much more information is necessary, of course, before you finalize the board. But I would expect another strong class of wide receivers entering in the NFL in 2025. So we got more football to play, more data to crunch. But until then, this is the top 10 so far. So hopefully this will give you some insight, get you some players to turn some film on, perhaps that you haven't really mentioned yet. But this is definitely the list for right now in terms of that. So with all this stuff out of the way, thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Jim Coburn. You can check out my other work at patreon.com/jcoburn. Also check out my ex, formerly known as Twitter account, at Geometrics. And with all this stuff out of the way, I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.